it's not about making exactly this tour again. Maybe the tour is equally fine doing it just the other way around, starting at point P, ending at point A, or doing slight variations. This is, well, so in our, we were thinking that, well, the core elements of a tour, the things that you want to talk about, the things that you want to recommend to other people are what we call highlights. Like these are spots, or in this case, you can see these are segments that were very, very beautiful, that stand for the entire tour. This can be segments. This is also very relevant if you think about mountain bikers that are really keen on single trails, or if you think of race bikers, they like those cool asphalt streets without traffic that last for 2 hours maybe. Yeah. But there can also be points like the point 2 here. This is the nice hut where I was having my lunch. And yeah, so I took a lot of pictures, I uploaded them, and also added them to the highlights, and I also wrote some comments about it. So this is now how other people can use this kind of recommendation. Okay. Well, you can say it's a good idea to let the users participate and contribute in content on your platform, but then you also have to deal with some other problems. And one thing that we are working on is deduplication, because people go to the same places and they may create highlights over and over again that are like the same. And this is a screenshot from a very famous outdoor spot in the Harz, a nice region next to Berlin or near Berlin. And this is the Brocken actually. And it was created 7 times. Yeah, and what we are doing, like as new highlights are coming in, we are processing them and checking if there are duplicates, and if it is like that, we automatically merge them, bringing all information together. And yeah, so one point is deduplication. The other point is, let's say, maybe a user, he thinks that the spot he has been to is very, very beautiful, but maybe it isn't that beautiful. Let's say here on the left we see St. It's difficult to read maybe. It's St. Oberholz, a very cool cafe here in Prenzlauer Berg or Mitte. But actually this is nothing related to outdoor. So it's a cool highlight, but nothing outdoor related. So the user didn't understand what highlights are about. The same with the second highlight, which is a terminal of an airport. Yeah. In comparison, the other 2 on the right-hand side, they are very beautiful highlights. And so, as user can contribute, you have to deal with the fact that the quality is not always as good, and you need a way to distinguish good content from bad content. And the way we do it is, well, we also collect the user feedback. So we know that a highlight was shown to people a lot of times, and if they don't interact, we know that this is not so attractive. And what we also do is, like, we're asking for explicit feedback. In this case, you can also see it. Like, we have some small thumbs up, some thumbs down, which help us getting to know if a highlight is good or bad. Yeah. So this also runs continuously in our backend, like this data processing that all the implicit and explicit feedback, we crunch it, and then we know if highlights are good or bad. Yeah. Another thing we came across is that, well, people create highlights like this one. This is a very nice peak in Austria. But in fact, there is already some content around that is very helpful for outdoor people to plan their tour. And, well, the most relevant open data we're dealing with is Wikipedia. And so as new highlights are coming in, we also check if there's some additional information already available on Wikipedia, and we attach it to our content, and people can take advantage of it. Yeah, this is what we have started with, well, yeah, 1 year ago. And it was quite difficult also to convince our users of participate in this new concept and this new way of recommending stuff to each other. And it's also a problem because you don't really get the principle when there's no content available yet. So like this, yeah. But over the time, we really got to know how we can make people understand the value of it. And nowadays, we're very proud that we gathered a lot of user content, in total more than 50,000 highlights. And this is a collection of highlights of a user, and it's pretty awesome. And I also think it's content that has never been available yet. Like, we know a lot about many tools around that you can find on the internet, but this elementary elements of a tool, this what we call highlights, hasn't been available yet. Yeah. And this content is very fast growing. And yeah, and this is for example a map of Berlin. So if you open our web client here, you can see a lot of highlights, and you can spend hours in discovering cool places that you have never seen before, even though you live close by. And yeah. So these are the very interesting building blocks to plan your tour. You can combine highlights. You can select where you start your tour with, at which location. Yeah, but sometimes it's also yeah. This is very cool for engaged users, people that really like to plan tours, and it doesn't. If it takes 10 minutes, it's cool. If it takes half an hour, it's even better because you can play more around with it. But there are also lower engaged users, and they say, well, highlights are cool, and I really need it to understand to make my outdoor experience. But what I really need is also a little bit more help from your side, and this is probably the most advanced data processing we are doing at the moment. We take the user data, like all the GPS traces that are connected to a highlight. So, like the highlight we are seeing on the left. Maybe we have hundreds, or sometimes even thousands of tours of our users that pass by this highlight or were near the highlight, and we are like taking all this this user data, and analyzing like what are very popular variations, how you can visit this highlight. And so like on other platforms you can also find tours, and they may be very, very well, but often it's like this, that you have like in one special area you have thousands of tours and you need to click a lot, and often the tours are like what users actually tracked. So if they stay for an hour in a restaurant because they want to have lunch, you have if you want to do this tour again, you have also this lunch included. Or if somebody has to pee somewhere, you can see that the GPS trace is going somewhere else for 2 minutes. And maybe the tour starts at the home of this user. And this is something we get rid of once we understand the overall movement of our users. And yeah. So this is an example of Teufelsberg. This is a station from the NSA, but now it's not in use anymore, and it's very cool to discover. It's in Grunewald forest near Berlin, and this is a tour we suggest. We extracted it out of our user data, and you can see that it starts at point A, which is the S-Bahn station, and it takes almost 2 hours, 7 kilometers, and we give you all the informations, including the altitude profile and the weight types and the surface. Yeah, and this is not something a human being had drawn on a map, or it's totally algorithm driven, what you can see here. Yeah, and this is the end of my talk, and you've seen what has existed before, like having this tour guides, printed books, and what we think is the future. And now you know what we have done in the last year, and be excited about what we are going to do next year and what we all have in mind. Yeah.
Thanks, Christoph. So far, any question? None? Okay, maybe I have one. You said actually you compose these elements of other routes. Is there any minimal way you have to have? So something like 500 meters or so? So are there certain constraints? Or can you compose such a route of elements of basically infinite length or minimum length?
Well, we can route very far routes, but we have to have a limited number of tours in a region to be able to construct a tour that we are sure about that it's a good tour. So like if there are like just 2 users in a region, they have made like 2 or 3 tours, we already can start to suggest a tour, but we aren't really sure about if it's really good or bad. And we don't want to propose bad tours, so in some regions we won't have those smart tours yet.
So you can even propose something routes to Grand Canyon where it's even 100 kilometers or so. So it's even possible then with this technology.
Yes, it's possible. And because also we are based on, well, I forgot to say that, we are based on OpenStreetMap and also take advantage of the ecosystem, and our routing engine is based on Grasshopper, which is very powerful and enable us to also do those kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. Thanks again.